Hello, this is Brian Resney, President of Resney Wealth Management. I'm bringing you an important update this Wednesday about the economy and the investment market so you get a good understanding not only what we see in the global landscape, but also if we have any significant changes within our managed accounts and how we run our global tactical opportunity portfolios across the board. You know, the economy in the U.S. still is showing data signs of slowly improving. Of course, there's been a lot of news lately about Cyprus, which is really, in my opinion, again, a non-event. You know, the biggest thing is a lot of these countries that are over in debt and overburdened with programs, government programs, really austerity is going to be probably their only cure. Cyprus is just yet another country that's going to have to go through the same scenario that Greece has done and other countries are going to have to do. As I always have said, if you spend too much money at the end of the day, you're going to have a day of reckoning. And I think ultimately, and I don't think it's going to be this year or even in the next 10 years, but you will see more and more austerity kind of programs across the board. The key is this: if the economies continue to grow, whether there's austerity or not, asset categories, certain asset categories are going to do quite well. Our global tactical opportunity portfolio is meant to do two things: not only grow our clients' assets, but preserve against major market corrections if we were to have another recessionary environment. I can tell you across the board on all of our indicators, recession does not look imminent anytime in the next 6 to 12 months. And at the end of the day, I think we're going to continue to see some upward trends and possibilities, especially in small, mid-cap, and large cap in the U.S. and small cap in emerging markets. I talked last week about how various large cap ETFs and ETF sectors on the equity side are really underperforming this year. We do not own those in our managed accounts, and as we get now towards the end of this month, what we're seeing is the rankings for, again, the large cap emerging market economies are still towards the bottom. By the way, at the very bottom pretty much is gold. We sold our gold position many months ago because it started to become relatively weak. Since we sold our gold position, it's down around 6%. We replaced that with mid-cap in the U.S., which is about up in that same time frame, probably 10 to 11%. So there's a big, obviously, difference of around 16, 17% difference. Relative strength investing works, staying in relatively stronger investment sectors and using unique sectors around the world that compete against each other. So basically, the strongest sectors rise to the top, the weaker sectors go to the bottom, they stay in the stable. We watch those and monitor those if they ever come back up into our top 4 or 5 for our global tactical portfolio. But again, we don't want to own what's weak, we want to own what is strong. And if for some reason we need to get more conservative within the portfolio, our global tactical strategy will lead us in that direction. If we need to be more growth oriented, like we are now, and capturing the gains of the economy, we are in those areas right now. Again, the U.S. seems to be greatly outperforming in general against a lot of the emerging markets and developed market economies like over in Europe. And again, we're going to keep being in those areas that are being well rewarded and not being beat up. One of the things I do want to stress, and I've had a lot of emails on this, we've talked about reducing exposure in bonds. General bonds, typical bond investments, I would definitely tell investors, again, our clients, we manage their wealth, so we've already made these adjustments, but I continue to get a lot of calls and emails from radio listeners, people that still have the boat overloaded in long-term type maturity muni bonds or government treasuries. And again, I think that's going to be a big mistake, and I think ultimately those investors are going to be hurt substantially, whether it's lack of return or big downside risk exposure in that portfolio. And every time that I talk, I try to educate you a little bit more. A portfolio strategy in your portfolio needs to be adaptive and objective. Our portfolio strategy for all of our clients is very adaptive. Whether the market is favoring cash and being more conservative, we will be there. If the general investment markets are favoring more small cap or emerging markets more small cap, we're going to be there. Our portfolio design and strategy is meant to be adaptive based upon changing economic conditions and sector rotation. So regardless if all the money is being made in, let's say, high-grade corporate bonds, we're going to be more in that area. We're going to be less in areas that are not being rewarded. Again, relative strength investing looks at superior sectors that are actually relatively strong and gaining on the upside, and you basically sell and reduce exposure on areas that are going down. Remember, and I've never seen this, by the way, in 27 years in the business, and I don't think this has really ever happened. Traditionally, broad-based investment sectors, if you look at whether it's gold, whether it's corporate bonds, whether it's real estate or equities, no asset category typically just drops 30 or 40% in a recession, they slowly get weaker and weaker and weaker. So again, that weakness, as it starts to occur, that would trigger sell signals within our portfolio to start to get into more conservative investments. So rest assured, clients, we're doing our job, which is to make you a return and help return your money and control major downside risk. If you're not a client and you want to become a client, call our office for a consultation. Of course, if you're a client and you have any questions, please call our office with your questions. We always like hearing from our clients. We always like answering your questions. Make sure you listen to my live TV show tonight in Southwest Florida. By the way, if you're not in the viewing area or you miss it, you can go to our website by noon tomorrow. We'll have it uploaded at ResniWealth.com. Make sure you have yourself a safe and profitable week.